Hello there. My name is Mo, my co-host Corey. We are the Real Guys, and this is the Real Show with two E's. Today, jump in your poorly rendered CGI gunship, and we can fly off together towards the Rebel Moon because we're reviewing Rebel Moon Part 2.
We are indeed.
And as always, with my co-host Corey. How are you doing today, Corey?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Maybe you won't be doing so well after the end of this review, Corey.
Possibly
We'll
not.
see how that goes. Because me and you have sat down to watch on Netflix the exclusive film Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver.
All 2 hours.
It's here. Yeah, all 2 hours of it, Corey.
Yeah.
So you know you're in for some fun. But to start off, we're going to play a favourite segment, a favourite game of ours, called Good Film, Bad Review. Or maybe it's Bad Film, Bad Review. Because we are looking at the films of Zack Snyder.
Correct.
How well versed are you on the films of Zack Snyder, Corey?
I have seen, from my knowledge, from what he's directed anyway, Rebel Moon, Part 1 and Part 2.
Yep.
Army of the Dead.
Yes, and that's it.
Yes.
Well, you'll see quite a few more here, Corey.
Okay.
Maybe it'll surprise you, something you've directed. Okay?
I have not seen Justice League, before anyone says that. I've
You've
not seen that.
Zack Snyder's Justice League
No.
either? The 4-hour cut?
No, I have not.
Well, perhaps you could educate the listener or the viewer on the rules of Good Film Bad Review. How do we play this segment game?
Essentially, what will happen is Murray will read out a review, normally from Letterboxd. That's about 0.5 to 1 star, and it will be. And then essentially after the review, he will give me an option of about 3 films usually, and I have to try and okay, 4. Is it 4 films this time?
Yeah, it's A, B, C, and D. You'll have 4 options. Except for the last question. The last one is a sudden death question, Corey.
Oh.
The last question is different.
Okay.
You'll see why.
And all I've got to do is try and link the review with a film, and then that's it, essentially. Which is always great, because I've probably never seen most of his films every single time we do it.
Right, okay. Well, let's jump right in with question 1.
Okay.
There's 14 questions, so maybe you can play along at home. Count along at home. How's Corey doing on these questions? Question 1. This is from a reviewer called Tyler, who has 1.5 stars.
Oh, okay. That's a big one for us.
Also, this has, and better note, this has 3,000 likes on Letterboxd. So a lot of people like this review.
A lot of a very popular opinion.
Yes. And here we go. I'm convinced that Zack Snyder had ChatGPT write the screenplay.
Okay.
Something we're familiar with, Corey. With
yes.
Our,
Chicken Run.
Cookies, Christmas Miracle,
and Chicken Run.
Chicken Run Part 2. Now, I'll read that again. I'm convinced that Zack Snyder had ChatGPT write the screenplay.
Okay.
Is this a Letterboxd review of A. Army of the Dead, B. Rebel Moon Part 1, C. Batman vs Superman, or D. Justice League?
Right. I'm going to go on a limb and say it's one of the first 2. When was Army of the Dead? We reviewed it. When was it? Like 21? When was it? Somewhere around there, I think. I'm going to go Army of the Dead Part 1. Not Army of the Dead Part 1. Rebel Moon Part 1. Only because I feel like people saying like things being written by ChatGPT is more of a recent thing. I know it's been around for a while, but people comparing it, I feel it's not a recent thing. So I'm going to say it's Rebel Moon Part 1. Okay,
your final answer?
Yes, correct.
And you're correct,
Cool.
Corey. Well done.
Thank you.
Right off the bat, easy points, Corey. That was very Corey of you, very methodical, very analytical breakdown of the question and the correct answer. Well done.
Now it goes downhill.
Okay, question 2. This is half a star by Amani S. They've reviewed this, and this is their review. A video game cutscene so long it made Hideo Kojimbo blush.
So Hideo what?
I'll read that again. A video game cutscene so long it made Hideo Kojimbo blush.
Kojimbo.
I don't know if Hideo Kojimbo is related to Hideo Kojima.
Yes.
Or maybe a distant relative. Hideo Kojimbo. I'm pretty sure he's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles character. But let's see what that could have been a review of.
Okay.
A. Army of the Dead.
Okay.
B. Justice League. C. Sucker Punch. Or D. Zack Snyder's Justice League.
The hell is Sucker Punch?
It's a film he's directed.
It's a film with well, I've seen Army of the Dead. Could that be connected to a video game? Could people see that as a video game cutscene potentially? I mean, zombies are big in video games. Dave Bautista looks like he belongs in Gears of War.
What would Hideo Kojimbo blush at?
Sucker Punch sounds like it could be a video game.
fighting game like Little Mac.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Punch Out.
Punch Out, yeah.
I'm going to go Army of the Dead because it's like Gears of War, I guess, kind of.
Okay.
Sure.
Final answer, Army of the Dead?
Go for it.
Incorrect, Corey.
What is it? Is it Sucker Punch?
No, it's D, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine.
Yeah. The 4-hour cuts, of course, I've got the original Justice League in this, the Joss Whedon Justice League, just because Zack Snyder did do work on it.
He did do stuff on it, yeah.
Co-direct, yeah. But I'm also including Zack Snyder's Justice League in this as well. I've named them differently so you know the difference.
Thank you.
Next, this is by half a star by Brianna S. Another S. This is a bit of a longer one.
Okay.
This is, I'll read the review now. Definitely not what I was expecting. Horrible and confusing movie. Kept waiting for it to get better. 2 hours of my life that I cannot get back. Zack Snyder's movies suck. And suck is in bold.
Okay.
Also, this is formatted like a poem. Each line is a
Well, each line is just different.
Yeah, each line is different. It's like a sonnet. Is it A, Sucker Punch?
Okay.
B, Rebel Moon Part 2? C, Rebel Moon Part 1? Or D, 300?
Did he do 300?
Yes, he did direct 300.
That's an alright film, actually. For the time I saw it, years ago. I'm going to say it's not Sucker Punch, only for the...
A horrible and confusing movie. What could be horrible and confusing?
Only for the fact of Sucker Punch. I feel like if you're going to say this movie sucks, you would put a pun in there somewhere, and you've missed an opportunity.
Sucker Punches.
Yeah.
I like the suck bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel like you'd do something with that. 300, from what I remember, I wouldn't say is somewhat. It seems like a somewhat simple plot point. So what was it? Red Moon 1 and 2 without the other options. Red Moon 1, I can see being confusing, but we've already had it. Red Moon 2, spoilers for the review later on, is also a confusing movie. And I feel like you're going to put it in here somewhere as being correct, so I'm going to go Red Moon Part 2.
Okay, they also say 2 hours of my life that I can't get back. We know Zack Snyder films are long.
Yeah, Red Moon Part 2 is about 2 hours.
Yeah, so are you going to say locking in Red Moon Part 2?
I'm going to lock in Red Moon Part 2.
B. And that's also incorrect, Corey.
What is it?
It's Sucker Punch.
That's it. What is Sucker Punch? What is it?
Sucker Punch. You might want to look it up if you can. I think Oscar Isaac's in it.
Have you seen it?
No, I haven't. But I know it's something he directed.
Okay.
And someone I know have seen it. I was talking to them about it a few days ago. This next review is also half a star. It's by John the Learned. So we'll see how learned.
I have never seen this before. Why is there like a Big Daddy from BioShock on the picture?
There should be like a blonde woman.
There's a blonde woman, yeah. It's like a Big Daddy in the background.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh, go on.
Okay. This is by John the Learned, half a star. The only movie I've ever fallen asleep to in the theatre. So uninteresting, it's criminal. Is it A, 300, B, Man of Steel, C, Dawn of the Dead, or D, Watchmen?
Okay, I've seen Man of Steel. I watched it on a plane and did not fall asleep.
Okay. That's a bit ironic. Superman film, watch it on a plane.
Yeah, I know, right?
You catch the plane out of the valley air.
Yeah, he was flying me there the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a bit slow though. I didn't mind it, but it was a bit slow. Again, 300, boy. I feel like from what I remember, 300 is not a long film. This is Sparta. Come on, people. I've not seen the others. I'm going to go Superman. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I will find him, etc., etc.
Okay, B. You're locking in B. Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Final answer.
Yeah.
And it's correct, Corey.
Cool.
Well done.
Thank you.
Done. So uninteresting. I thought you might go for Watchmen because it's so uninteresting it's criminal, which could be a joke about the heroes of Watchmen.
Didn't think of that.
Oh, there you go. Well done, Corey. That's the correct answer. That's 2 out of 4 so far, if you're keeping track. Next is a half a star review by Bill HC, and he says, "Don't even bother. Zack Snyder tries to write a script around gratuitous violence by coming up with 100 one-liners and stitching them together. Also, there's a blue guy. Is it A, Zack Snyder's Justice League, B,
could be
300, C, Watchmen, or D, Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Kahul?"
What is that?
It might come up in a bit, but...
Okay, well, I don't remember 300 having a blue man in it.
And Admiral Thrawn turns up.
Yeah, unless, like, the Blue Man Group somehow make an appearance.
Yeah. Smurfs are the 300. 300 Smurfs.
I don't know what the Legend of Rahul or whatever you just said is. That sounds.
Owls of Gahul.
That's it. But it sounds like someone that could have a blue man in it.
Yeah, it could.
What was it? Watchmen. I've not seen it.
It was Zack Snyder's Justice League for A. 300, Watchmen, Legend of the Guardians, The Owls of Gahul.
I've not seen Watchmen, but I vaguely remember. I know what it is.
Yeah.
Part of me in my head is like, do I remember a blue person in it? I can't remember if it's a bit more on the superhero side or if it's a bit more on the actual real life side. But I don't know about Kahul or whatever it is. I'm gonna go Watchmen. Give me Watchmen, please.
Okay, you're looking in C, Watchmen.
Yeah.
Final answer.
Go for it.
And you're correct.
Great.
Well done. You're referring to Dr. Manhattan.
That's it.
Famous blue man, the blue hero man. Well, not really a hero. He does atomize a lot of people, but he's the famous character of the.
That's the one. Yeah.
They are. Next, this is by Danny Bry or Bry.
Okay.
There's another half a star. This movie is an insult to cinema. The worst story, acting, script, and CGI I've ever seen are all thrown together to make this dumpster fire I can barely call a movie. The first 5 minutes of the movie is literally the only part where I was somewhat entertained by what was happening. After that, I could have rather watched paint dry. How does Zack Snyder keep getting hired? With 4 question marks.
Okay.
Is this for A, 300, B, Rebel Moon Part 2, C, Army of the Dead, or D, Sucker Punch?
First 5 minutes were entertaining. I would say the first 5 minutes of Rebel Moon Part 2 were not entertaining. 300 could be entertaining at the start. I don't remember what happens at the start. Army of the Dead could also be entertaining if it drops, I guess, the first 5 minutes. So I'm gonna go Army of the Dead. You know what? Yeah, let's go Army of the Dead.
Locking in on C, Army of the Dead.
Go for it.
That it's an insult to cinema, but is
Could
your answer
be
correct? Yes, it is.
Great.
Army of the Dead. C, Army of the Dead. Well done. You're on a roll, Corey. You've got.
I'm picking up steam.
You are picking up steam. You got 3 right so far. You're picking up steam. Now, next is half a star. This is a bit of a longer one.
Okay, here we go.
Stupid critic. We'll see how stupid this critic is. Zach, listen to me. Go into the mountains. Go into the mountains, Zach. Maybe find a monastery and join the monastic order. Achieve inner peace, or maybe find a cabin. Find a cabin and chop wood. Achieve inner peace. Then one day, when you have a big bushy beard, some suits from the studio are going to come looking for you. They'll say something quippy like, "You're not an easy man to find, Snyder," and they'll offer you millions of dollars to make their movie about sci-fi daring do. I'd ask you to think carefully about their offer. I'll read you that second paragraph just so you get it down. Then one day, when you have a big bushy beard, some suits from the studio are going to come looking for you. They'll say something quippy like, "You're not an easy man to find, Snyder," and they'll offer you millions of dollars to make their movie about sci-fi daring do. I'd ask you to think carefully about their offer. Is this A, Rebel Moon Part 1, B, Rebel Moon Part 2, C, 300, or D, Legends of the Guardians, The Owls of Gahul?
Okay. 300, I'm assuming the asking me to make a sci-fi film is in reference to the film that's being reviewed.
Yes.
So 300 is I'm taking off of my list. Last time I checked, that is not sci-fi.
No.
Again, God knows what Legend of Gahul is. Could it be sci-fi? Maybe. I'm picturing more of like a mummy situation.
Okay.
At
the end of this, I will tell you what the Owls of Gahul is.
Okay.
You'll be shocked. Don't look it up. I will tell you. What it is.
I think Rebel Moon Part 2 is going to be in here at some point. But in my head, I'm like, you're going to have it be the last one, and then we segue into the thing. But I don't think it's Rebel Moon Part 1, so I'm just going to go for Part 2. Okay. And just say it's Part 2.
Rebel Moon Part 2.
I am, yeah.
Unfortunately, it's A, Rebel Moon Part 1.
Okay.
It is A, Rebel Moon Part 1. For his sci-fi daring do. It is A, Rebel Moon Part 1. You've broken your streak, Corey. You had 3 good answers going there.
I did.
Now, this is 2 reviews for the same film.
Okay.
They're both half a star, by Lily and I think that says Sapphire, but there's loads of Y's and P's in it. this is Lily's review says, I hated everything about this. It looked ugly and fake. It felt gross to watch. I don't even know what to do with myself right now. It has completely stripped me of any motivations or aspirations I had 2 hours ago. Like maybe I'll go to Subway, or maybe I'll eat or sleep or have dinner, or I don't know anymore. This was awful. I wouldn't like it, but I didn't think it would upset me this much. Oh my god. I was very traumatised.
Very traumatised review.
Sapphire's a bit more concise. One of the worst movies I've watched. There is so much bad about this. So much. And it kept getting worse. A shame, because it was giving me Dune vibes for a bit. My guttural reaction to most of it is just ... ew? Question mark?
Okay.
Is it A, 300,
No.
B, Army of the Dead, C, Dawn of the Dead, or D, Rebel Moon Part 2?
Okay, I'm going to go back again. Bring it back again.
To win with the promise of Rebel Moon Part 2, Corey.
I'm going to go for it again. Lock it in again. Give me Rebel Moon Part 2, please.
Is it going to work? Is it going to work this time?
I don't know, but if they've described 300 as having Dune vibes, I do not trust them.
Well, maybe you shouldn't, Corey, because that's incorrect.
Okay, what is it?
It is 300.
What? How's it got Dune vibes?
It is 300. I don't know. Maybe they put this review on the wrong film for Zack Snyder.
Yeah, because who goes into, like, you know, about the 300, like, warriors that are going to go into battle?
The Spartans.
And think, Dune.
This is like Dune.
Can't wait for the spice to turn up.
Xerxes, yeah. He's basically like the Baron.
Yeah, you know.
Now, this is 4 reviews.
Oh.
Same film.
Okay, it's a big old... Because you've
They're
got
all
some...
pretty short. It's alright, there's no long part. They're all pretty short, so you're pretty good.
Got some corkers.
This first review by Gunners Not Guns 4, who, by the way, his profile picture is Yaddle from The Phantom Menace. So you know you're in...
Our favourite.
When Yaddle's involved, yeah. He or she says, not a movie. Now, next, Karg, whose profile picture is the critic from Ratatouille, says, Anton Ego, says, surely the 4-hour director cut of this will be good, right, guys?
Oh, God.
Guys? Next, Nickerplan says, Zack Snyder needs an adjustment. And Knock Knock says, I can't believe this movie is real, bro. Is this a review for A, Watchmen, B, Army of the Dead, C, Rebel Moon Part 2,
oh, for
or
God's
D,
sake.
Zack Snyder's Justice League?
Right, it's not going to be... It's not...
3 times for your charm.
It's not going to be Justice League because the 4-hour director's cut.
Yeah.
Justice League. Yes, it's that film.
Yeah, they've watched the 4-hour director's cut.
I know Rebel Moon is getting a director's cut because when you go on Netflix and type it in, there's Rebel Moon Part 1 director's cut and Rebel Moon Part 2 director's cut blacked out, but they're there. Yeah. They're going to happen.
And they're called different things. We'll talk about that later.
Are they?
They are. They're called different... We'll get on to this. They're called different things.
So I'm just going to go back to Rebel Moon Part 2, please.
Okay. You've gone back to the well. You're locking it in. Final answer.
Yeah.
And you're right this time.
Okay, good.
They are 4 reviews for Rebel Moon Part 2. Well done, Cookie.
Thank you.
Clutch victory there from the jaws of defeat. Now, these are our last 5 reviews.
So is this 5 for the same film?
No, these are just separate reviews.
Oh, okay.
These are the last 5 questions, I should say.
Right.
Let's see what you think of this one. This is by Curbside Cinema, half a star. Right. Zack Snyder might be the worst director I've seen get a consistent amount of chance to direct films. Gets almost 0 blame for sinking an entire DC franchise and constantly receives studio budgets for passion projects, that's in inverted quotes, that have stupidest premises and characters to follow. This movie legit makes the Resident Evil movies look like masterpieces. I'll read that again in case you weren't sure of it. Zack Snyder might be the worst director I've seen get a constant amount of chances to direct films. Gets almost 0 blame for sinking an entire DC franchise and constantly receives studio budgets for passion projects that have the stupidest premises and characters to follow. This movie legit makes the Resident Evil movies look like masterpieces.
Okay.
Is this A, Army of the Dead, B, Rebel Moon Part 1, C, Batman vs Superman, or D, Man of Steel?
Ooh.
A lot to think on this one.
There is. I'm gonna go with the tenuous link of this makes the Resident Evil movies look good. I have not seen them, but I know what Resident Evil is, and it's men or women shooting zombies.
Okay.
Which sounds like something else. So I'm gonna go for Army of the Dead, which is men and women shooting zombies.
Okay, Army of the Dead. That's A. Lock
Correct.
that in.
A for Army of the Dead, please.
And you're correct.
Cool.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done on that one. Good deduction there. Got 2 so far. Let's see if you can pick up this third one. This is by another half-star review by Creepy Banther. So that's the second sort of reference we've had here.
Yep.
Creepy Banther has to say, my inability to focus on the hot, stinking cat dookie unfolding on the screen before me in slow motion is a source of my inability to focus on anything ever else in my life. Is this A, Justice League, B, Batman vs Superman, C, Rebel Moon Part 2, or D, Army of the Dead?
Okay, so slow motion. What would have a lot of slow motion? I'm assuming Batman v Superman would have a lot of slow motion. Not that I've seen it. But it seems like, a film, Superman's going to do a laser eyes and slow motion, and Batman will throw a batarang or something.
Part 2 has a lot of slow motion.
Redmond Part 2 does have a lot of slow motion. Redmond Part 1 has as well. I was waiting for that to pop up, but did not. So I'm going to go Batman v Superman. For the first time, I'm guessing that one.
Okay. And you're right first time, Corey.
I'm back on it again.
Yeah, back on it again. You're picking up steam again, Corey. The train's picking up steam again. Alright, that was correct for Batman vs Superman. This next review by Oliva Maria is very short and sweet, but it has 5,000 likes on Letterboxd.
Oh, very popular.
This was the top review for this film, let me tell you.
And what rating is this?
This is 1.5 stars.
Yeah.
That tells you something when you look at this film on Letterboxd. This is the top review, and it is 1.5 stars. Oliva Maria has to say, Zack Snyder does it again. Derogatory. In brackets.
Okay.
Derogatory. Like it's a bad thing to say about,
Yeah.
Is this A, Legends of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole, B, Dawn of the Dead, C, Rebel Moon Part 1, or D, Zack Snyder's Justice League?
I really want to pick Ga'Hoole. Because
Will Ga'Hoole show up?
Because I don't know what it is.
Okay.
But Dawn of the Dead I haven't guessed, nor has it come up yet as an actual answer. But I'm going to pick Ga'Hoole. Give me Ga'Hoole. I don't know what it is.
You're going to pick Legends of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole.
Yeah.
Incorrect, Colin,
okay.
Unfortunately. This was a review for Rebel Moon Part 1.
Oh, okay.
It is the top. You look on Letterboxd, Rebel Moon Part 1, it's there. It's the top review there.
Fair enough.
Now, this is a 1-star review by Ed V Trigger 1. And he has to say, quite simply, Family Club Night Episode 1. Literally got on the call to turn on the movie and fall asleep to it.
Nice.
And he says, Family Club Movie Night Episode 1. Literally got on the call to turn the movie on and fall asleep to it. So this person doesn't like this movie. Is it A, Army of the Dead, B, Watchmen, C, Legends of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole, or D, Sucker Punch?
Give me Ga'Hoole again.
Give me Ga'Hoole again. Give me some Ga'Hoole. Give me some of that Ga'Hoole again. And this time, you're right.
Okay.
Correct. This is the correct review for Legends of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole. And shall I tell you what it's about, Corey?
Go on.
It is a book adaptation of
Okay.
a film about a group of warrior owls. And the film was particularly disturbing for its depiction of a variety of CGI talking owls.
Great.
So if you wondered why it was called The Owls of Ga'Hoole, also why it's called Ga'Hoole, as in what sound does an owl make,
Right.
it's, not exactly the cleverest thing in the world, but Zack Snyder did direct it, so it counts.
Lovely.
This is your final review.
Okay.
And I'm giving you, of all this tumult and A, B, C, D, I'm giving you a simple 50-50 question.
Okay.
You'll be right, and there is wrong. Okay? So I've got 2 reviews, both half a star. One is by Pooh3D, which is a great name, and they have this to say. Incredibly boring movie, which seems odd given they swapped slow zombies for more ravenous, super strong sprinting ones. Not much of a story, mostly felt like watching a group of strangers complete a task.
Okay.
And then this next review by Weblo is also half a star, and says, "Aww," with like several W's, I'd rather watch Morbius. Is this a review of A, Army of the Dead,
Okay.
or B, Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah. Okay. I assumed this was what was coming.
Okay.
Because as
Is it
initial
an army or is it a Dawn?
my initial thought was Army of the Dead. But I was like, that seems too obvious. So you throwing 2 zombie films at me makes sense. I know though, from when we did Army of the Dead, that the whole thing was meant to be, it's going to be this whole big new thing where all the zombies do different stuff, and some are quick and some are slow, kind of like Left 4 Dead.
Yep.
So I'm just going to go back to the old faithful and just go Army of the Dead.
You're going to go Army of the Dead. You think I would never have given you an answer?
Yes. I think Dawn of the Dead it's just going to be around.
Right. You're going to go for Army of the Dead.
Yeah.
A.
Give me Big Dave.
Morbius.
Give me Big Dave.
Unfortunately, this isn't Big Dave. This is this is Dawn of the Dead. Sorry, not Army.
Okay.
I'm getting confused. This is
You're getting confused.
But also, I'd like to point out I have just an extra review here for Army of the Dead, which is just Batista bomb, Batista bomb, Batista bomb, and I think that's amazing.
That's that's good.
That's a good reference because it's a bomb, and I don't have to explain the joke. People will get the joke.
Yeah, don't explain it.
I was going to put it as a question, but it'd be too obvious of what the answer is.
That's a bit too obvious, yeah.
It's like, Batista bomb, Batista bomb, Batista bomb. Now, I hope you enjoyed that. Maybe you can tally up your score of how many you got right.
I have no idea. I'll figure it out.
Out of 14, I don't know how many you've got there.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I don't think I got half, but yeah, I'll figure it out.
Okay. Let's talk about Rebel Moon Part 2.
Yes.
Now, the last half of this review, let's talk about Rebel Moon Part 2. I've got a few notes here.
Okay, good.
What we think, and we'll just go through it and your thoughts as well, right? The Rebel Moon Part 2 picks up shortly after the first film.
Yep.
Where we get more Anthony Hopkins crawl narration, and we get all of our favourites are back, like Cora.
She's there.
Who's called Arthur Celius now.
Yeah.
I think. And she's Sophia Boutella. We've got General Titus, I know his name, who's Digimon Honsu.
Yep.
We've got the guy who I thought was the other guy for quite some time in this film before I realised he wasn't, and that guy had actually died in the first film.
Yes, Blood Axe.
The guy. You
thought it was Blood Axe. I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I realised no, he's the guy. He's the guy that rode the thing in the first film.
The Griffin, the Hippogriff or whatever in the first film. And his friend who has like a Nerf blaster that I think's been recoloured, and the C-3PO is there. Jimmy or James, whatever his name is.
Yep, something like that.
And someone is his name Gunnar?
Gunnar is one.
Gunnar, him.
There's the samurai woman.
Yes. Apparently her name is Nemesis. I
okay.
They don't even know if they tell you her name.
Probably do. I forgot.
Then we open the film with my favourite character, Admiral Atticus Noble, who's amazing, I think. He's got all his tubes on him. He's just a weird, freaky guy. He's got loads of tubes, and he's like Jesus.
I guess.
They bring him out the thing, and he's like, with the crucifix pose. And Zack Snyder loves that.
Yeah.
He loves it in Man of Steel, loves it in Superman. I am Jesus, all of that. Yes, all the heroes I don't remember are there. And they say that the Empire, or whatever they're called, the Imperium...
the Empire.
The Empire are back, and they're going to come back for all their grain.
Yes.
We've got to do some intense grain harvesting.
Correct.
Right? And there's a lot of slow-mo in this film.
There is.
So much that once again I've recounted all the slow-mo that I've detected in this film.
Okay.
I'm going to go through everything I found.
Go on then.
I found, and we start off with slow-mo crown drop, slow-mo gun turn, slow-mo yelling, slow-mo seed blowing, slow-mo seed picking, slow-mo grain chopping, slow-mo harvesting. I know it's called something when you scythe the grain, it's called something. Slow-mo Honsu sweating, absolutely enjoyable. Slow-mo grain chop, slow-mo flag wind, slow-mo explosion, slow-mo falling into water, slow-mo bag throwing, slow-mo running from explosion, slow-mo kicking, slow-mo elbowing, slow-mo soldier takedown, slow-mo scream, slow-mo gunfire, slow-mo battle scene. That was a bit generic.
Yeah.
I'm bored at this point. Slow-mo soldier kick, slow-mo cannon fire, slow-mo dust explosion, slow-mo cannon fire again, and slow-mo explosion.
Nice.
And that's all the slow-mo I could detect. There's so much of it. I'll just pick out a few of my notes that I like writing here. In need of this grain is the line, and I go, why? Why not go somewhere else? Barefoot people.
Yep.
The king looks like such an idiot. But I wrote this probably because he looked like such a just this guy, he's got like a big bushy fake beard, and not even like an enjoyable bushy beard, like the real show style bushy beard. It's like a piece of plastic on his face. Violin music from Hitman musicians.
Yep.
This was a fun thing because when you play the recent Hitman games, there's a level where you go to like a secret island, and there's a secret society on the island, and the musicians have blindfolds on because they've been kidnapped and they've been forced to play. So they've got blindfolds on, and that's why it reminded me of this. Let me see if there's another ones. Alien birds. Wow, so edgy, my friend.
Great.
I wrote that because I knew when Atticus Noble got killed, he had the scar. I knew he was going to say some kind of weird scar giver line about himself, and I knew that was coming. Let the samurai lady do it all then.
Yep.
Because she does this awesome fight, and everyone's fight. She says, I don't fight anymore, but now that I've replaced my hands with these robot hands, I must do all the fighting. I go, why don't you let her fight? Here's my backstory time.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, you would recognise that as well.
Yeah.
Laser machine gun old woman. That was a particularly fun one. And I say, that one fight in the gunship on the gunship ramp isn't actually that bad. It's just one shot. The concept art for the gunship is actually much better. Because I tried to look up if there was like an official designation, because you know me, I like my law.
You do.
There's an official designation for these ships. And I found concept art of some of the ships. I thought, well, these look much better than the ones that are actually used in the actual finished product. They look like kind of like grey boxes with bits on them.
Yep.
Whereas the actual concept art looks like, quite large sort of engines, and it looks like a VTOL helicopter super type thing. Whereas the actual thing looks like a grey poo with a gun on it, that kind of thing. I wasn't very impressed by that. And then my one at the bottom, my note says, "Engine room slaves will fight her."
Yes.
Because, I guess those guys also work for the.
I'm assuming so.
I get enough to fight this woman who's randomly landed, and I want to do that job every day, or another day is shoveling coal into the engine fire, and being that big woman who's got her face, big metal woman.
Yep.
Who's gonna be alive in the director's cut? Did you know that bit, Corey?
I didn't know that bit, no.
Okay, right, okay. When you watch the director's cut, which we will not be watching, sorry for anyone who wants to watch that, wants to listen to us talk about that.
Yeah.
So I won't put myself through any more of it. There's several more CGI changes, almost to the point where I make the note of there will be 10 times the blood in every shooting shot.
Great.
In the extended version. That's what I write, because I know every hit of a body on someone, when they go fall down, they'll be like Zack Snyder can't help himself. There'll be 10 times the blood, and their head will pop off, and everything like that, right?
Yep.
But I'll simmer down for a bit, and I'll let Corey express his thoughts on Rebel Moon Part 2.
I mean, I wasn't enamoured with it. To the point where when I was watching it the other day, in the first about 5 minutes, I was already fed up. Because, like you said, this follows on from the last one, where the big bad is gone. He's been beaten, he gets destroyed, and then obviously at the end of the film, we see he comes back, Darth Vader style, loads of tubes, and he comes back and being resurrected. So I'm thinking, right, okay, it's going to be a massive, impactful scene in the next film where he turns up out of nowhere and just demolishes these people, and they've got to fight for their own thing, because he's surprised, he's back. And then about 5 minutes in the film, like you said, they're like, these guys are coming for the grain again, by the way. They're planning out an action plan. I'm like, right, okay, great, cool. But thanks for that, I guess. No surprise, we're here. Give us what we want. Nah, they can just figure it out. But no, I wasn't enamoured. Some of the fight scenes were fine. The samurai woman, Nemesis, has some cool fight scenes. Is she using things that very much resemble lightsabers, kind of? But I can look past that to an extent. But I don't know. The one thing that got me was what you've put in the notes, which is backstory time, which is about the first half an hour of the film where everyone sat around a table and one person talks about what happened, and it's the next person being like, I went through a similar, Titus is like, I stopped fighting because I surrendered and I vowed to never surrender again. The next person's like, I had this thing, and it's blah, and it's like, I had this thing, and then 5 minutes later she meets with Jeremy or whatever it was, and he's like, I don't fight anymore because this, and it's like, for God's sake.
Yeah, I know. Because I detected it quite early. I detected it within the first few minutes.
Yep.
They're all sat together in the same location. They're not going to go from person to person, are they, and explain all their backstory. Like, here's my backstory, like they do in Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And, I was like, well, they're going to do it, and they went off and they did it.
I'm like, for God's sake.
I felt very clever at that. And even Jimmy, even the robot, right? Even C-3PO.
Yeah.
Because Cora, or whatever her name is, Kota, says, oh, hello, James, or something like that.
Yeah.
And Anthony Hopkins' bot comes down and says, no one called me that since my master, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly can't remember what the guy's name is. He says, since my master, lay dead in my arms, and I am a robot, and I'm not supposed to feel. And I cannot use a gun except for when I use a gun.
Except when I use it last time.
When I picked up it last time, and also when I'm going to pick up it in about an hour's time, I will also pick up the gun. But I've sworn away using guns, except for the time when I need to use them.
No, because a girl being in danger unleashed something in him, therefore he was able to use a gun.
Yes, okay. And the whole point is that Cora is stricken with grief or whatever because she's had to do this sort of Julius Caesar style assassination of the king who looks stupid.
Yeah.
And the Julius Caesar type Palpatine-esque figure, who I still doesn't think looks remotely like what you'd expect that guy to look like. No offense to the actor, but he just doesn't look like, when you talk about the Grand Regent Belisarius, I don't picture that guy.
Yeah.
I don't picture the guy who just looks like a, I don't know, electrician or something. Some Irish electrician. Is not going to be leading the galaxy. I'm picturing like an Ian McDiarmid, an Anthony Hopkins. Name a cool old actor.
Cool old actor. Who we got? Give me like a Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, whatever. Morgan, a cool older distinguished kind of Michael Caine.
Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington. Thank you, Corey. Denzel Washington. Someone who commands power, commands respect. Not this guy who's got like kind of a beard but not much of one, and talks in a kind of very faint Irish accent. You don't sound threatening. This guy isn't leading the galaxy exactly. And they all do their Julius Caesar moment.
Yeah.
She has to shoot this little princess or whatever she's
Correct.
protecting or whatever. But then at the end of the film, we find out that the princess is alive.
Yes.
And B, Titus knew that she was the daughter all along. That Cora was the daughter of the regent all along.
Yeah.
Right. And even though Titus never teased it or never gave it away, there wasn't like a Chekhov's name type thing.
Yeah.
Titus never had a moment, I don't think, in the film where he was like, looked at her kind of funny, or sort of said to her, I know who you are, or whatever. Well, he did kind of once.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like sort of teased further, where that probably would have been better to avoid, the subtlety of and people on Twitter going, oh, well, how did Titus know that it was her, or whatever. We talk about the fight scene.
Yep.
The pace is so frantic, and one of my notes is this is cut like a trailer,
because
it is. But if you watch it in installments, it feels like you're watching sort of several trailers sort of stitched together because of how things move and how people talk and the way scenes end and cut between each other.
Yep.
And it's one moment in particular that didn't feel that way, and that was when Gunnar, I think it's Gunnar, no, I don't think it was Gunnar, I think it was just that random farmer guy who wasn't the old farmer guy, who wasn't, Corey Stark.
I think I know what you mean.
The replacement farmer guy.
Yep.
He jumps onto the back of this ship as it's taking off, and he has a fight with Admiral Noble, and it's like 30 seconds or something like that, but it's one shot, and that kind of makes you sit up.
Yep.
Because it's like, from the top down, you're like, wow, this is interesting, I'm into this now. Wow, there's like kinetic energy in this fight, where like, when she's going down the hallway with the lightsaber, I know it's whatever it's called, with the lightsaber, it doesn't feel that way, because it's zoomed in every 5 minutes, and in your face, and and she's doing turns, and it's like, and the action's like, and the music's like, whatever, and it's spinning, and it's like giving me a headache. Whereas this 30-second pinch of a fight was more engaging because there was kinetic energy, there was no music, it was one shot, it was well choreographed between the two guys, and it felt more real. And that's what engages you, as opposed to the non-stop sort of onslaught of a Zack Snyder film, of a Army of the Dead, of a, whatever, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, and also
Owls of Gaul.
Yeah, I kind of get what he was going for with the whole, we're going to bring him back and he's resurrected thing, but it's not that impactful when you have a big bad who then gets defeated, who then comes back, and then in the next film, 2 hours later, just gets defeated again.
Yeah.
It'd be like if Vader comes back in the first film, and then the next film, Obi-Wan's like, "There, well, got you."
Yeah, well.
Well, that's fine.
I got you. Yeah, one with the Force, all of
that. But no, I don't know. It's such a forgettable movie.
Let's give it a real rating then.
It's so forgettable. I watched this yesterday. I can remember none of it.
Right. Okay.
It's not high from me.
No, I'm going to give it. I don't remember what we gave the first one.
No, I don't.
With you. But I will give it a 3.
I was going to go about a 2.5.
And I'll give it those reasons for 3 reasons alone.
Okay.
One, Digimon Honsu, I think he's awesome.
Yep.
I think he's great. I think his battle speech before he charges into battle with all the dudes is kind of, is a bit hype. I'll give it that. 2 is Ed Skrein, who plays Admiral Noble. I think he's doing a good job despite the material being utterly ridiculous.
Yep.
I think he's at least carrying off with a bit of gravitas. You're like, oh, this guy feels like a threat. And 3 is all these sort of artists and creatives and concept artists, because I don't like, when I bash on a film, I don't like to bash on everyone who work 24 hours, 25 hours a day to try and make it happen, right? I level all my complaints to Zack Snyder and whatever he thinks is a passion project film, right? I'm not putting all my complaints on all the artists and all the filmmakers and whatever who tried to, went to college or went to university to put their name on this film as a credit.
Yeah.
Right? So that is the reason why I'm giving it 3 out of 10 for those 3 reasons.
Yeah, I'll give it about a 2.5.
Okay.
Noble's great. Titus is probably the best part of the film for me.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's aesthetically, it's all right. It looks half decent. It's just everything else isn't great.
The sound design, even some of the parts of the lore, I found interesting, even though they were kind of rip-offs in themselves. Those crab kind of 80 crab walkers were like, oh, I thought that could be cool in something, I could take that. But yeah, just a 3 and a 2.5.
Yeah.
For Rebel Moon Part 2. Weekly Rec.
Correct.
It's yours or mine. I have one ready.
What did we do? What did we do last week? As of recording, it was
Ewoks.
Yes.
Was me.
Yes, because you recommended.
Yes, Bear Grylls with Warwick Davis.
Yes. Right. Okay. So it's my turn.
Yes.
I've got something very, very simple for this, which is completely unrelated. But I feel like after a film like this, I need to recommend something nice and fun and lighthearted.
Okay.
So, while watching this movie, because it was so engrossing,
yes.
I ended up having a film on in the background because I didn't want to spend 2 hours of my life.
You're watching 2 films at once.
No, I wasn't watching a film. This is not a film. But I didn't want to spend 2 hours of my time watching this movie solely. I wanted to do something fun with my time at the same time.
Okay.
So I spent my time playing Mario Kart PC.
Okay.
Which is a web version of essentially the first Mario Kart game, and you can just play it on laptops and computers for free and have a grand old time.
So that's what you're recommending?
I'm recommending Mario Kart PC.
In fact, I was going to do an alternate recommendation, but we both recommend something that we've watched recently which we think is better than Rebel Moon Part 2.
What have I watched recently?
So shall we do that? I have something.
What have I watched recently?
What was the last thing you watched that wasn't Rebel Moon Part 2, and it's probably better?
Probably was. I've watched a bit of Netflix recently, and a bit of Disney Plus. Mm-hmm. What is yours?
Mine is The Outlaws, which is a comedy drama series on BBC iPlayer, written by Stephen Merchant, starring Stephen Merchant, and who else? Darren Boyd, who's great.
Very nice.
For Walken is in the series as well. A few other actors. Ian McElhinney, who I know from Game of Thrones, is also in it. I think it's a great series. And yeah, 3 seasons. Probably won't get another one. I think season 3 is the last season. But 3 great seasons. Really good, really well written, very punchy, and just the kind of style and wit you'd expect from a Stephen Merchant project. So yeah, I'd recommend The Outlaws. Go and watch that. I'm watching it at the minute. Go
for it. You know what? I'm going to pop in. I'll go Toast of London, then.
Okay, Toast of London.
Bit of Matt Berry.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We like a bit of Matt Berry. IT Crowd. Matt Berry's fantastic. A little bit of Matt Berry. It's a fantastic series. Go watch it. Very funny. So, Toast of London. And,
okay. And I recommend The Outlaws.
There we go. Go watch that.
Yes, go and watch that. Enjoy that for yourself. And also, when you have time, play Mario Kart.
Mario Kart PC. It's a great time.
Yes, great time. How much would you rate Mario Kart PC?
I would give it... I had a very fun... I'll give it a solid 7.5. Very fun time.
Okay, excellent.
You can get custom characters and also it's so good. Oh, yeah.
Can you play Bowser?
You can.
Oh, look, nice. You play Toad?
I believe so.
Okay, good.
You're sorted.
Avatar! Great. So, thank you very much for watching our review of Rebel Moon Part 2, as well as Zack Snyder, Good Film, Bad Review.
Yeah.
Great one. And it is a goodbye from me, goodbye, and a goodbye from Corey.
Goodbye.